So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, to be here for this session. It's a pleasure to have Renee with us, the head of sustainability at eBay. So we're going to have quite a few interesting subjects today to talk about. The first one is, I know that, of course, Earth Day is something very important for you. You want to tell us something special about this?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for inviting me here today to speak in Dubai. Maybe by the accent you can tell I am from the United States, Washington, D.C. So a little bit jet lagged, but hanging in there. And yeah, yesterday was Earth Day, which is global, as I think we all know. And near and dear to my heart in particular, because I'm a sustainability officer. I've been in the career for 20 plus years. And if you don't know a lot about eBay, we're an e-commerce company. And we care a lot about our employees as well as our customers. So for Earth Day in particular, we have a bunch of groups globally called changemakers who activate things like planting trees, cleaning up parks, all those great, wonderful things that we need to do on a local level. But then we also spent a bunch of time this year thinking about how do we touch our customers more directly and more personally. And so we were able to work, my team, along with our AI team, continuing the theme throughout the conference today, to produce a video with AI specifically on Earth Day. So we'll show you the corporate version, and I'll tell you a little bit about the personalized ones too, if we can cue that up. I think we started in the middle. So the entire video has actually been produced by AI. What we were able to do was, with the AI team, morph these images, which are real images from our platform, into different AI-inspired Earth Day visuals, such as the butterfly, the ocean, the tree, etc. And then with the help of my team, able to categorize what does that really mean? So how much waste did we save? How much carbon emissions were we able to put back into the earth through trees, etc. But we also went the extra step of sending out 100,000 videos yesterday, which was a big effort internally, specialized for each of our buyers who had purchased at least 3 or more pre-loved fashion items within the last 12 months. So if you received one of these videos, and they were first pushed out in the US and UK, we expect to expand that next year into more regions. You saw the exact items that you purchased. We would never have been able to do that without AI. And they were able to categorize it specifically for you. A thank you to QWAN, a thank you to RENEE, a thank you to Michael for purchasing these items and knowing that you helped to make the earth a little bit greener. So we're really excited about that, and also excited to see where else AI can take us with a cross-section of that with sustainability.
That's very interesting. And I wanted to ask you also something, because I know obviously that sustainability is very important throughout the entire supply chain of all your activities.
Mm-hmm.
And as a corporation with no distribution centers, how do you manage to maintain a very high level of sustainability throughout the process?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I'm not going to deny that. So not everybody knows that while eBay is a global company, we don't own distribution centers. We don't own fleets. That's different than a lot of other e-commerce companies, such as Walmart, for instance, where you have a lot more control. We have corporate goals in terms of our operations for our offices and our data centers, which is our core of our operations. But the biggest impact that we have on the planet is through the distribution of all these products. And they don't go through centers, they go from our sellers to our buyers. So we're able to collect data to understand which carriers are being used, how far they travel, what the weight is, etc., and able to categorize that. But at the end of the day, we have to work very closely with our carriers. So we're talking FedEx, DHL, very important here, UPS, and then a lot of local carriers to really incentivize them and help them understand how important it is to us as eBay that we're making change happen, because we don't own the planes, we don't own the trucks, etc. But what we also do is collaborate with other e-commerce companies like Etsy, which is pretty popular in the US, Vinted, etc. They also don't own their own fleet. So can we together have a market signal to show that we need different solutions, we need to make advancements in transportation technology, and that we want to see that happen. In the United States in particular, we're the largest customer of USPS. So we don't directly interact with them, but through our sellers, we have a lot of influence, and we want to see that help make positive change.
Very interesting. And also regarding the scale of the United States, can you tell us more about what will look at day to day within your work when you're dealing with a country so big, just like the US market?
Yeah, so believe it or not, we're 50% international. We operate in 190 markets. The US is our largest market, but we're pretty much everywhere. So while we have a big presence in the US, in my role as a sustainability officer, we really have to think globally. We have to think about different markets. So I kind of try to categorize my day-to-day, like if I were talking to a fifth grader or someone in elementary school, what do I do? 3 buckets. So I actually sit in the finance department, which is not that typical for a sustainability officer, and then specifically in investor relations, which a fifth grader probably would not understand, so I might have just talked above that person. But we have to understand how to translate all the good things that we're doing into disclosures for our investors. A lot of the investment that happens within our company, we're publicly traded, stems off of how much disclosure we have. Do investors trust us? Do we think that we're doing the right thing, moving in a sustainable direction? So that's really important to us. So I and my team working throughout the company, again, collaboration is key in sustainability. We work with the risk department, the tax department, everywhere across the company to pull these stories together. And we're actually in the middle of releasing our 5th or 6th sustainability report next month, but it takes the entire company to really make that happen. So that's one big bucket. The other is around climate and renewables. Sustainability is broader than just environment, but that's the day-to-day of my team. We work on setting those goals and achieving those goals, and again, collaboration. We have to work with the data centers, we have to work with our facilities teams, because we don't control it. We measure it, but we need the data centers and the offices and to actually implement good strategies to make these carbon reductions and climate advancements happen. And the third, which I still think is the most exciting, working at a company that really is based in sustainability. I don't know if you know the story, but the very first thing that was sold at eBay was a broken laser pointer. 1995, so over, 25 years ago now. The broken laser pointer was given a second life. And that's really the center of what we call re-commerce. So we're selling things for the second time through the platform at eBay. And going back to the video we saw earlier, that really does help to keep things in circulation. We don't have to make quite as much. But I will also caveat to say there's a lot of new products that are sold on eBay as well, which is perfectly fine, but really balanced out by the amount of things that are recirculated into the system, either on our platforms or others. And so those are the 3 main buckets. I don't know if I was speaking a little too long on this.
Which is already super interesting to hear. And you were mentioning something where you said trust. And this leads me to the next question, which is now with the evolution of technology and the AI and how e-commerce has been evolving those past years, how do we maintain high level of, I would say, safety when it comes to re-commerce and resale product? How do we ensure that it's safe to buy?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think safe and authentic, right? And as mentioned earlier in the day as well. And I have to say, sitting in the audience, hearing the number of times sustainability was brought up in completely unrelated sessions was inspiring to me to see how it's really integrating into re-commerce and e-commerce as a whole. But for eBay in particular, a lot of people have the notion that we only sell used goods, or an online marketplace that does just bidding. That's not true anymore. We have everything, but we also have programs in place to help our consumers feel that what we're supplying them online through the sellers is trustworthy. So we have an authenticity guarantee on certain products, mostly pre-owned luxury items of a certain value, where they've been handled, looked at, inspected. They get the tag, the seal of approval. We're working towards a QR code system much like the digital product passport that I believe it was Andrew who spoke of earlier. And then we also have a refurbished program. So if you want to buy a Dyson, but maybe you want to save a little money, you want a refurbished Dyson, or you want a refurbished iPhone, you can get those on eBay through our refurbished program. They have best-in-class guarantees associated with them, and so you're purchasing something for the value, but you also know that's trustworthy, and you have that security in knowing that you're doing the right thing and doing a good thing at the same time.
Sure, interesting. And talking about product, I think we have a little story regarding Taylor Swift.
Oh, I don't know if everybody knows that story. Do you want to explain it?
I think something about, because also we all know that eBay is, I would say, the OG of re-commerce.
I'll say it.
Yes. And then it's always impressive to see how you organically work with high profiles or anyone or specific products, how you create this desire of resell and rebuy. And there's, I think, a super interesting story about something that Taylor Swift sold on your platform.
Yeah, I can't say a lot about it, and thankfully it didn't last on the platform very long. But AI, as we just heard in the prior session, it can do a lot of good things, but it can get out of hand as well. And so the short story is that there was an improper product trying to be sold on eBay. But we have an entire team, a very large team, dedicated to making sure that items that are sold on eBay are not prohibited, not restricted, that they don't violate any rules. And so that particular sale was taken down very quickly, and we sort of put that to bed with that seller as well very quickly. Yeah, it's a constant struggle. I will say I don't know if this translates internationally, but whack-a-mole, is that a thing?
Yeah.
We're constantly trying to make sure that there's good actors on our platform. We've got millions of sellers, millions and millions of buyers worldwide, and the trust, again, is so important, not just for selling products, but for the sustainability of the platform itself.
Absolutely. And also, how does eBay is organizing its footprints in the Middle East in terms of, because I know eBay is doing a lot of work to be regionally precise regarding the audience and regarding the market, and regarding the Middle East. Is there any specific strategy or footprints or stages that eBay is already trying to work on?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, we started in California, Silicon Valley situation in 1995, and have continued to grow, and there's challenges associated with that. Right now, we're trying to specifically invest a lot more into the Middle East, into the UAE, and what we've learned, I think, throughout the years is culture is very important. Every country is different, and we need to know who that consumer is, and we also need to know who those sellers are. And so specifically here in the UAE, we have consultants on the ground who are reaching out to potential sellers to help understand what their pay points are. If they want to sell globally, we're a great place to do that. But we want to make sure that we're onboarding them in a way that's constructive, that's seamless. And so having that hand-to-hand relationship building is really important. eBay is a community at the end of the day. If you go online, if you go into the app, you can chat with your seller. You can actually get to know them a little bit. And through that, we've been able to build a bigger and larger community and increase our seller base as well. But we understand that there are differences between countries in logistics, right? Very different, as well as just cultural differences. What are people wanting in a particular region? So what we found, what's growing really well right here in Dubai, specifically are parts and accessories for motors, specifically, and I'm not a motorhead as they call them, but the lift packages. Do you know much about these?
I know.
Do you have one?
I don't.
I don't either, but they help to lift the car up. Maybe you want it up higher. So those are really growing quite fast in the region. And then secondly is pre-loved luxury goods. So the watches, the handbags, the Pradas, the Chanels, all the good brands, and maybe some shoes. So we're really looking to make sure that we're specifically fit but listening to the sellers in that region to understand what the demand is, because we don't always know. We listen to the people who are on the ground.
Sure, interesting. And also, I will also jump to the next question is, once you integrate a new market, with all of the sustainable objectives that you have and all the requirements, and how do you adapt to a new market and with keeping the same level of sustainability without the supply chain? How do you maintain this level?
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. I think, again, regional differences, not just as a consumer, but just at the logistics of that region itself. We have a global 100% renewable energy goal by the end of, and I'm specifying the end of 2025, because 2025 is really fastly approaching us. We're currently at 91%. We have another 9% to go, and most of that is international. So some of the products that we've been able to invest in the United States, wind farms and solar arrays, et cetera, aren't as readily available in some countries. So we have to really think through those problems and work with our on-the-ground NGOs or non-governmental organizations or nonprofits who understand those dynamics better to help us find solutions, along with other corporations. And we're not the only ones with big, ambitious goals. And so sometimes we'll actually team up. We did for our first renewable energy project in the United States. We teamed up with Apple, Samsung Semiconductors, and one other company to come together to help invest in that renewable energy. So I think there's a theme of collaboration here when it comes to sustainability, and then also locality. You have to be able to understand like what's available, how do you work a specific region in terms of what solutions are available to you.
Okay, and that leads me to my last point is, because I know eBay is also a technology company as well as a resale, yes. So how does technology helps you achieve your sustainable goals?
We're working on that. I'm excited to see what AI can do. It's sort of a double-edged sword, as they say, because AI does and can use a lot of electricity, but it can also help to optimize data center operations. So I think there's both a good and a bad there that hopefully will help balance out, and eventually the positives of AI when it comes to environmental impact will continue to be decreased because of the AI itself, right? We partner up with Google and Microsoft. We talk to the other sustainability officers and folks that are in my same situations, trying to understand we want to use AI to make sure our customers get what they want, but at the same time, we have to counterbalance that with new and innovative ways to invest in renewable energy, to invest in data center optimizations and things that I don't necessarily do on a day-to-day basis, but I know enough to be slightly dangerous, I would say. So yeah, I think technology, also in terms of a lot of investments happening now in carbon capture. Trees are fantastic. We need to stop cutting so many of them down. But there's a lot of technology that's available that's being developed, a lot of startups, a lot of investment, both in the US and globally, in startups that are thinking innovative ways to help us decrease our impact on the climate. So it's a new chapter, I would say, at this point, but one that we're very excited about and trying to stay on top of, because it grows every day, I would say.
And we can also say that there's a lot of some type of educational work. It's like, it's not a commercial relationship, but there's more to it. And this is what we can feel also with the initiative that you put together towards this matter. Yeah,
and I think the education, we don't ever want to be pedantic about it, right? We want to make it fun. And I think sometimes, and I've talked to some of my colleagues about this, it's accidental. So when you think back to the re-commerce, buying pre-loved, buying refurbished, a lot of people are doing it, again, just because it saves money. I do the same thing, but you're accidentally also an environmentalist because you are saving part of our precious resources that aren't being invested in new products. And some consumers want to know that, and some don't really care, and that's okay, because they're still actually participating in re-commerce in a really positive way. And I think that makes it exciting. We've done a lot of research on our consumer base, both buyers and sellers, that specifically work within the eBay ecosystem, but also just globally in general. And we continue to see that trend. If you're participating in e-commerce, buying or selling, number one is for value or for making or selling money. We're a capitalist world at the end of the day. But also, the sustainability theme is really number two to that value. But as we see the demographics, the younger generations becoming older, they're really way more invested, and we've heard this earlier today as well, way more invested in thinking through, like, what is my impact on the climate? What world am I going to inherit? And so having that option to really reinvest in pre-loved goods, I think is helping us on our journey.
This is good. Thank you so much. I think this is the end of our time. I think I can say that if we want to buy responsible, we have to buy on eBay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, QWAN.